Good morning, everybody. I am so sorry that I can't be there in person. I'm so happy that I have the opportunity to still share my story with you virtually. I need to give a special shout out to the Windsor Rotarians that are there, especially to Mike and Shelley. I know we were so looking forward to this weekend road trip together, so I do apologize that I'm not there. And a special thank you to Therese. It's been so lovely to get to know you through the planning of this conference. And thank you for holding such incredible space for me. Unfortunately, I'm not there. I am away with my family. And so I do want to thank you so very much for allowing me to share my story, but also thank you for the incredible work that you do with Rotary in your cities, in your communities, your countries, and across the world. So please, I hope you enjoy this weekend together so much. Take time for yourself, take a moment to have a deep breath, and just enjoy being together. I hope you'll find me on social media. I'm on LinkedIn and Facebook and Instagram. And I do hope that our paths cross one day. Now, I'm not tech savvy, and I'm going to do my very best at sharing my story with you and my presentation today. But again, thank you so much. And I really do look forward to meeting you all one day. So here we go. I will share my screen. So my story starts off very much like everybody else's. I am the third child in my family. I have two older brothers who are 5 and 6 years older than me. And my mom shares the story of when they found out they were expecting me. She was absolutely thrilled. And she is sure that when they placed me in her arms and said it was a girl, that they probably could hear her screaming from Windsor, Ontario, all the way into Michigan. And so she just shares being so excited that I was a girl and that she had her two boys and her girl. My older brothers always played sports, and we were a busy family, often in the arenas. Our routine after dinner is we would have our baths, and then after baths, we would walk down the street to the stop sign that was just about a block and a half away. And my brothers would be running down that street, picking up rocks and sticks and everything that they could find. And my mom noticed that I would take a few steps and then I would put my arms up, and I'd take a few steps and I would ask to be carried, or that if I did walk, I would fall. And I would use my arms to kind of walk up my body to get back up. And so my mom had mentioned to my dad that, you know what, something just didn't seem quite right. And she was just going to have the doctors check it out, and that if, and go from there. My mom called our family doctor, and our family doctor said, you know what, why don't you go see the pediatrician in case there's any intervention needed. My mom brought me to that doctor's appointment thinking that I would need orthotics in my shoes, because like we do as wives and mothers, my dad was flat-footed, so my mom assumed that I was also flat-footed and that this would be my dad's fault. And so she went on with her plans of we'd go quickly to this doctor's appointment and then off to buy some shoes to get the orthotics put in. The doctor had me walk down the hallway, and when I came back into the examination room, the doctor looked at my mom and said, "Your child has muscular dystrophy." My mom's world shattered at that moment. She shares the story of feeling just absolutely devastated and scared of what does this mean. Back then, living with a neuromuscular disorder, there were so many unanswered questions. My mom had the doctor call my dad because my mom knew that my dad wouldn't believe it. And after that doctor's appointment, they left the doctor's office, and my mom is a very religious woman and began to pray the Our Father. My mom got to the lines, "Thy will be done," and knew that she didn't understand why it was so hard or why it was this way, but that there was a plan in place for this. I had to go through a lot of physiotherapy over the years, many surgeries. My closest specialist is 2 hours away from us in London, Ontario. So there was a lot of driving down the highway to London to meet these doctors. As you can imagine, growing up in school and being different than the other kids, kids can be mean when you're not the same. And so I experienced a lot of bullying. Often kids would play a game at recess called Ditch Danielle, where the bell would ring and they'd run as fast as they could away from me. And I remember I'd come home from school and I would be crying of, why does it have to be so hard, Mom? Why does it have to be so difficult? and my mom would hug me and hold space for me. And we would continue to just navigate what life with a disability was like. It was painful physio and figuring out how to keep these good muscles good, how to strengthen the muscles that were weakening, and what could we do. I found my love for the water. I started doing physiotherapy in the water and it was less painful. And I loved being in the water. When I was in the water, there was nothing I couldn't do. And I so enjoyed every minute that I was in the water. A coach approached my mom and said, she's got some really natural talent. Have you ever thought of having her join the disabled sports club in our city? And it wasn't that my parents weren't okay with the fact that I had a disability. It was just that this was all new to them and they didn't understand what this world was going to be like. I joined the disabled sports club and I found my home. I found other people who found their own ways of doing things. So it didn't matter if you couldn't jump or you couldn't run. When we were in the water together, we were all the same and we were barrier free. And I absolutely loved being in the water. I began training and starting to swim competitive, and I loved the adrenaline and the thrill of racing. That at a very young age, I set a goal that I was going to go to the Olympics one day. As I continue to live with a disability and understand what navigating a disability meant, and knew that maybe the Olympics weren't within my reach, but that I would set a goal to go to the Paralympic Games. I remember sitting around our dinner table one night as a family having dinner. My brother brought up the fact that he wanted to get a tattoo. And my dad said, absolutely not. There's only two ways in this family that you get a tattoo. Either you make the NHL or you qualify for the Olympic Games. Well, that was enough for me. And so I said to my dad, I'm going to the Paralympics. And at the age of 13, I qualified for the Paralympic Games, and I broke my first world record. I was so thrilled to swim at those Olympic trials and to qualify for the Paralympics and to continue to get to train for Sydney, Australia. I represented Canada at the 2000 Paralympic Games, where I won 3 gold medals and a silver. Now, I usually quickly add that silver part quickly to my story where I say I won 3 gold medals and a silver. But I feel like I should probably let you in on a little bit of a secret. I won my 3 gold medals, and I'm going to share in a minute with you my last race at the Olympic Games. But I do think you need to take some glory in knowing that my first race at the 2000 Paralympic Games was a 400 freestyle, and I lost to Lauren Reynolds, who happens to be an American. So I'll allow you to celebrate that moment for a little bit. But I do want to go ahead and share my screen with you and show my race.
The women's S7 50 metres freestyle, a field including Australia's Amanda Fraser. Here again is Jerry Collins.
The lineup now for the women's S7 50 metres freestyle. Amanda Fraser swimming in lane 6 for Australia. Fastest qualifier is Shannon Bethelio from the United States, and Danielle Campo, the world record holder, is in lane 5. Lauren Reynolds of the United States is introduced. Margita Prokanova from Slovakia in lane 2. Kristen Hakonar-Dottir, who picked up another gold medal last night, from Iceland. Shannon Bethelio of the United States, fastest qualifier. The world record holder, Danielle Campo, in lane 5. Amanda loving every moment of this huge crowd, and they're going to encourage her all the way. Daniela Pohl from Germany in lane 7, and Hilda Abes from Norway is in lane 8. Amanda Fraser swam at 36.66 this morning. She's in lane 6. The world record held by Danielle Campo at 34.95. And she's in lane 5. Danielle Campo. Shannon Bethelio, the fastest qualifier, in lane 4 from the United States. Should be another great race. The start was pretty even. Amanda Fraser got away well for Australia. And over on the far side, Kristen Hagenardo-Tier also started well, and so did Margita Prokonova. After about 15 metres, Amanda Fraser is right up there for Australia. It's a terrific battle as usual. Up to the 25 metres they go, and Amanda Fraser is fighting it out with Prokonova on the far side. They're on opposite ends of the pool. Coming through now is Danielle Campo from Canada. Prokonova's still up there. Campo's gone to the lead. Amanda Fraser round about second at the moment. Campo looks like she's going to win the gold for Canada, and Danielle Campo, the world record holder, goes in and wins the gold. A new Paralympic record, 34.98. The silver has gone to Bethelio, and Amanda Fraser's got another bronze for Australia. 2 bronze medals in 2 races for Australia, and Danielle Campo is going crazy. She's delighted. Well, she has a world record, and now she's got a gold medal, and she can't believe it. And Amanda Fraser joins in the delight because
I love to share that video and get to see it even 24 years later. It still gives me goosebumps. And I love when they pan to the audience and you see my grandfather and my mother. My grandfather actually proud Rotarian when he was alive. And what you don't see in the video is my dad, because actually my dad, when I touched the wall, passed out. And so there was a lovely member from the Japan team fanning my dad on the ground, trying to help bring him back. I remember standing on the podium and holding my gold medal in my hands and looking down and feeling the struggles and the pain of muscular dystrophy, but being so excited that I had set small goals and a big dream of swimming in the Olympics. And that question of why does it have to be so hard? Sometimes it's going to be hard, but sometimes there's going to be moments of pure glory, and getting to celebrate those moments so trumped the moments and the struggles that I experienced. I didn't feel quite done after those Olympic Games, and so I went on to continue to train and swim in the 2004 Paralympic Games in Athens. It was an exciting time. I really learned a lot about myself as an athlete and as a person at these games, because coming in as the Olympic champion, world record holder, everybody had been spending 4 years chasing me for those games. And I learned that you can have the best race. You can do everything that you absolutely need to do. And it still might not mean that you're the best that day, but it was my best. And so in those Olympics, I won 2 bronze medals and a silver. And I was so proud of those medals, just as proud as I was of my medals in Australia. I continue to train and to go to university and to continue to share my story. I'd bring my medals home and share with kids in schools and grade schools and high schools and organizations all about having a dream and setting those small goals to achieve those dreams. I finished my university career as a social worker, and I worked for a local child protection agency, and I loved where my life was at. I was still dealing with the odd health issue from muscular dystrophy and navigating, but I continued to build those strong muscles and swim to keep my body strong, but also being able to give back to our community. I learned so many valuable things as a social worker working in a child protection agency, and how important it is that we have the right supports behind us and the right people cheering you on. And I was so grateful for the support system of my family and friends that I did have, that I was able to become a Paralympic gold medalist and world record holder. I met an incredible man who I shared with my Italian father, was 9 years older than me, and also had 2 beautiful children. And as you can see from this picture, he eventually accepted that, and we were married, and excited to start this new chapter. Excited to have a new role as a stepmom and a wife, and continuing to give back to my community and going on. I knew in my heart that I wanted to have a biological child. I did on our 3rd date actually say to my husband that I knew I wanted to have my own baby. And he responded to me that it would take a really special woman for him to have another child. And so I don't really recommend that as a third date conversation. However, I knew right away that that was something that I wanted to do. Together again, we would travel the highway, meeting with my specialist to find out that there was a 0% chance that our children or our child would have a neuromuscular disorder, that it was a hiccup in my DNA. And so we decided together that we would have a child. And in 2016, we welcomed our beautiful boy, Corbin, to our family. And I remember having so much joy. I remember being so excited. I had a fairly normal pregnancy. I delivered Corbin. I was so excited. They walked into the room. They said that we could bring Corbin home and it was time to go home. And I remember feeling angry and scared, and angry at muscular dystrophy and scared at muscular dystrophy, because what if I wasn't going to be a mom that could run up the playground or carry Corbin the way that other moms did. And I remember having my joy of becoming a new mom stolen. And I remember crying to my mom and saying, why does it have to be so hard? Why does it have to be so hard? And navigating life and figuring out my own ways. I figured out my own ways to do things, and I would allow that, yeah, I'm going to need a little bit extra support here and there, but I would find my own ways. I loved our life with Corbin and with my stepchildren. We were busy. We were in hockey arenas and on soccer fields. And as you can see in this picture, our life was filled with so much joy and so much excitement. I remember not feeling done. For those of you that are women and moms in the audience, you know that feeling where it knocks and you think, you know, this is great, but that baby feeling of maybe just one more is coming. And so Denny and I together decided that yes, we would bring one more child into our home. I joke and tease them that I must be a really, really special woman. And in 2019, we welcomed our beautiful boy, Samson, to our family. Samson gave us a bit of a scare at the beginning of his life, but showed that he was a true warrior and a true fighter, and joined our family. And we were thrilled to be a crazy busy family with 4 kids and 3 very active boys. And things were going really good. We all remember where we were at COVID times, and so our family together was growing and exciting, and COVID hit, and we would navigate that world together of what that was going to look like for us in our bubble. Shortly after COVID had hit and we were all kind of adjusting to that world, my phone rang and my doctor called. And I remember, you know, having this conversation with my doctor and him asking me how are the kids and how are things going. My doctor is quite incredible, but I wouldn't say he has the best bedside manner. He definitely doesn't always take the time to ask you how the kids are doing. So when he asked me how the kids were doing, I was like, oh my goodness, what's going on? And he shared with me that because of the work that Muscular Dystrophy Canada and Muscular Dystrophy Association in America had been doing, they had been able to do a lot of research and had found a treatment for the type of muscular dystrophy I had, that he was going to send me a medication in the mail. And I would take the medication, and what should happen was I should gain a lot more muscle strength. I remember having to sit down for a minute and ask him to repeat this again, and getting to hear this information that there was something out there that was going to help build these muscles, something out there that was going to answer the question of it doesn't have to be so hard anymore. I took the medication, and exactly what he said happened. In just a few moments, it was about 20 minutes. And of course, busy mom of 4, I was in the kitchen making sandwiches, and I pulled that tab off the mayonnaise. You know how we secretly all do it with our teeth? I was able to use my fingers, and I pulled the mayonnaise tab off, and I stopped and I looked at my husband, and I remember saying to him, did you see that? And quickly I gained strength that I hadn't had before. I was able to bath the children on my own. I was able to, you know, give piggyback rides and to get on the floor and play dinosaurs with them. And it was absolutely just so incredible and so exciting for us as we got to navigate this new life of, you know, having this strength that I never had before, that we never imagined was even something that was possible. And so we were so excited and so thrilled. And we're living day by day, discovering this new body. I had to do a lot of blood work to monitor how this medication was going in my system and how long I was able to hold the strength on this medication. My doctor was really happy with the results that we were getting, and we decided that I would take a little bit of a break from the medication to see how long I could keep the strength up. And so that would determine future doses of the medication. I stopped taking the medication for about 3 weeks. And I noticed that the weakness in my hands was coming back. I was falling all the time again. I wasn't able to carry the boys with the confidence that I could while on this medication. So we made a decision to go back on the medication. I shortly returned onto the medication, and previous on the medication, I had zero side effects. I wasn't tired. I didn't have any muscle pain. I didn't have any stomach issues. And after going back on the medication, I was tired. I had stomach issues. I wasn't feeling well. And I called my doctor and I let him know, you know, I'm just not feeling great. My doctor said, let's get some blood work done and we'll see what's going on. And so my doctor let us know that it's not a result of the medication that was making me sick, but actually that we would be welcoming another beautiful baby into our family. And so I would stop taking the medication with this surprise pregnancy. And so when I hung up the phone with my doctor, I poured Denny a very big glass of scotch and I handed it to him and I said, so we're having another baby. And his response to me was, shut up. And then, of course, we were so excited. It is in the middle of COVID, so we were tagging that, you know, some people were getting puppies and we were having a COVID baby. And this picture that you're seeing now is that final bump picture. You know, for those of you that have had children, for the husbands in the room, you know, when your wife gets to that moment where she's like, oh my gosh, it's labor time. And now in this generation, we don't make sure we have everything in the hospital bag. We make sure we get that final bump picture, right? And I am really, truly so thankful that we did get this picture. So this is our final bump picture. And I left on my house on August 17th. I kissed our children goodbye and said that I would be back in just a couple nights with their beautiful sister. Because yes, we found out that prior in our outdoor gender reveal COVID style that we were having a beautiful baby girl. And I'm sure I screamed louder than my mom did with the excitement of welcoming our beautiful baby girl. So as I kissed our children goodbye and said I would see them in a couple nights, I was excited and thrilled with Denny to be going to have our definitely last baby. Unfortunately for us, things took a bit of a different turn than what I had expected. After complication, after complication, after complication from Morgan's birth, I ended up with a severe infection. I went septic and I was on life support for quite some time. I had a 10% chance of survival. We would travel down that 401, me in an ambulance, Denny behind, following the ambulance. And Denny would say to me, you take everything that you need from me and you survive this highway trip. We're not a stranger to this highway trip. You take everything you need and you make it and you fight so hard. I was on life support for a while. And I remember being in the hospital and I could hear my husband's voice. And I remember him saying, my name is Dennis, but everyone calls me Denny. And with everything I could, I fought to open my eyes. I fought to open my eyes so that he could know that I was okay, that I was here, that I was okay. I had no idea what had gone on, or actually, in fact, how serious my infection was. And I opened my eyes and he looked at me and said, I've been waiting so long to see those eyes. My greatest nightmare of living with muscular dystrophy happened, not because of the muscular dystrophy, but because of an infection in my body and being medically paralyzed, where I was unable to move a single muscle. Even just blinking my eyes took so much effort, and it would be my new Olympics. It would be my new dream that I was going to come home to my family. And step by step, I would figure out how to get home to my family. Um, this picture was taken in the middle of September. So Morgan was born on August 17th. And on September 28th, so closer to the end of September, I would hold her for the first time. Devastated to know that my arms weren't strong enough to be able to hold my baby. But I remember looking down at her the same as I looked at those Olympic gold medals, and knowing that I was going to fight and fight with everything I had to get back to my family and to be able to hold my baby again. What was happening around our world and our country was millions of people who were lighting candles and saying prayers. And my husband would come in the room and say to me, "You have no idea what's going on at home right now. You have no idea the messages I'm getting from across our country and across the world of people praying for you. You are not alone, and you can do this, and we've got you." I transitioned from the hospital in London, Ontario to a rehab center in Windsor. And so this would be the first time that I got to see my beautiful boys again, and get to hold them and be back with them, even just for short visits as I went and continued my rehab to be stronger to go home. Corbin's pinching my face in this picture and whispering into my ear, "Is this real? Are you really here?" Samson, when I left, was unable to talk, actually, and was speaking in just little words here and there. And by the time I returned home to my family, had actually developed his speech quite a bit and was speaking in sentences. Corbin asked me to please be home for Halloween. So I went in on August 16th to have Morgan, and October 31st, I was happy to be reunited with my family. Finally, on November 8th, I was back together with our whole family. And we continued to navigate what this journey would look like. Rebuilding these muscles. I was unable to walk. I was using a wheelchair. I could walk for very short distances using a walker. And so together as a family, we navigated through life and what this would look like. But I was so grateful to our community, and I made a promise that I would give back to our community, to our country, and to our world to be able to share my story of sometimes it's going to be so hard. Sometimes we're going to want to ask those questions of why does it have to be so hard? Because I truly believe that in our struggles, we find our strength. And so I fought like heck to bring this family back together and to get to be a part of raising our beautiful family. I wish I could share with you that everything was going well, and that things were great. This is our beautiful Samson, and what we would learn through many tests while I was in the hospital is that the type of muscular dystrophy they thought I had, I don't have. I have a form called spinal muscular atrophy. So just shortly after recovering from everything that happened, I started to live my mom's story on repeat. We started to notice that Sam was walking a little different, and we brought Sam in with my new diagnosis, finding out that there was a 50% chance that our children would have the type of neuromuscular disorder I have. And our beautiful, full of life little boy was diagnosed with spinal muscular atrophy. And I share this with you, as difficult as it is, because again, I went to a place of why does it have to be so hard? And went to a place of we're going to celebrate this little boy. This little boy finds so much joy in his older brother, who wants to be a firefighter, who wants to be a hero like the firefighters are. And so together we navigate life, myself living with a neuromuscular disorder and as a parent with a neuromuscular disorder. I am so honored that I was able to share my story with you today. Three things that people would always say to me was, "Danielle, we prayed so hard for you. We're so happy you survived, and you got to write a book." And so I did. I wrote a memoir, and I called it My Will to Survive as Olympian. I am here today to thank each and every one of you. Thank you for allowing me to share my story, but most importantly, thank you for living what Rotary means. In my experience, in my struggles, I have always known that there will be people there that walk alongside you when it gets too difficult to walk the journey alone. Rotary has been that for me. Each and every one of you, when you connect to someone who is struggling, or when you connect to the community to do better, you walk alongside us. You allow us to have hope. I have so much fear for my little boy, but I have so much excitement because the world is filled with amazing people like you that will continue to go out and to do good. So thank you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for everything that you do. I have some of my books there today at the conference. I have donated those books. I hope that you will take the proceeds of those and bring them to your local Rotary and continue to do amazing work. Continue to inspire people. My mission now is to teach people that we need to connect before we collect. I am so grateful that you are each living that mission from Rotary. Thank you so much for taking the time. Again, I truly am so sorry that I can't be there with you in person. I wish you the absolute best conference, and I can't wait to connect with you one day very soon. Thank you so much. God bless, and have a great conference.